world is my domain!
Hey guys, Keith Blanco here, and I got a little something different here for you guys. I got a creepypasta reading. Now, I've been really thinking of ways to help differentiate my content here and there, do a little bit of variety stuff. And I figured this would probably be like, I guess a push in the right direction, I would call it, I guess. Now, if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like and comment, and hey, if you want, maybe leave a suggestion for another creepypasta reading I could do. But without further delay, let's get started on Metroid 2: The Secret Worlds. A few months ago, I was busy preparing to move to a new house when I came across something from my past. I was going through my belongings trying to figure out what to keep and what to discard when I found this old shoebox stuffed down the back of my closet. Curious, I opened it up and found it was full of CDs. I flipped through them and realized that these were backups from files of over 10 years ago. I remember that this was how I used to back up my stuff before external hard drives became affordable. So I stopped packing and started checking out the CDs on my computer. They're mostly just full of stuff I collected off the net, like MP3s, ROMs, animated GIFs. I then came across a CD that was labeled Conversations with Khan. I stared at the CD with some reservation before loading it into my computer. The CD contained a bunch of images, audio files, and some text dumps from the message board. Looking over these files made me recall an incident that had occurred many years ago. It was an incident that had slipped my mind until I saw the CD again. Honestly, I was glad to have forgotten it. It was a pretty freaky experience, and to this day, I still don't know what to make of it. The year was 2004. I was in my last year of high school and spent most of my free time being an admin for an emulation message board. It wasn't a particularly taxing job. I was just one of the 3 guys who were admins, and the board itself was pretty niche, so we didn't get a great deal of traffic. Back then, there weren't the bot problems you'd find on the boards these days. Most of the time, I just log in, check my messages, then browse the forum to see if anybody was breaking rules or just being a dick. It was a pretty fun gig, but I got the most enjoyment out of messing with persistent trolls. Being an admin allowed me to change their avatars. I had pics of crying babies for such occasions, or edit their posts. Usually I had them say stuff like, "I suck, I cry into my pillow at night," or, my personal favorite, "I left my brain in the womb." Ugh. So basically, I used to get a real kick out of administrating justice on the board. So, one night, a new guy registered the forum and created a thread called "Need Help to Pull Apart My NES." The following is from that thread. "Hi guys, I was just wondering if anyone has any links to the diagrams for the NES. I've been hunting around the internet for a while and I've been having a hard time finding them. I've got an old NES I want to pull apart and modify. There are a few resources you can look for here. Besides a bit of a jumbled mess, but should be a good place to start. Good luck. You can also check out this site. They have a message board you can join up to ask for advice. Thanks guys. Jeez, these diagrams and instructions look really complicated. Man, I hope I can get this to work." I was slightly mystified by his question, so I thought I'd ask him. Besides, I had some time to kill. "Hey Pond, just curious, what kind of modifications you looking to do to your NES?" "Hi Pestmergia. As a kid, I used to play the hell out of NES games. But my NES broke down a few years back. I got a Game Boy and I want to rip the card reader out of my NES and attach it to my Game Boy. I guess since the Game Boy and NES graphics look about the same, that should work." Oh wow, that sounds like a really bad idea. You'll probably just end up wrecking both systems. If you want to play some NES games, why don't you just get an emulator? "Hi Pestmergia. Yeah, I thought about that. While I was trying to find diagrams for the NES, I kept finding emulation web pages. That's how I stumbled across this site. I can't afford those card readers that you buy that let you hook up the cartridges to the PC. My next plan would be to make a card reader myself for my NES that could hook up to my PC. Uh, that's not necessary. You could just download ROMs and you'll be good to go. Don't ask where to get the ROMs though. It's against forum rules. Hi, Pismerja. What are ROMs? I almost laughed at this. I explained to Pon what ROMs were, and he got really excited. Hi, Pismerja. Oh my god, are you telling me I can play NES games on my PC right now? I got the gist that he wasn't really tech savvy, which was fair enough. He had to start from somewhere. After explaining to him about ROMs and emulators, I didn't hear back from him for a few days. He then came back to the board and became a bit of a regular. He would mostly just start threads in which he was asking questions about emulation problems he was having. But a lot of people did not have any time for him. They felt he was just an annoying person who has dumb questions. I remember one night, he started a thread about how he couldn't get an emulator to read the games he had downloaded. We then had to explain, and get this, what a zip file was and how it worked. One of the other admins was thinking of banning him. He didn't like that Pon was starting up new threads and about stuff that he had already answered in earlier threads. But I told him not to do that, and I have a war with him. I don't know why though. I guess I just felt sort of bad for the kid. I also felt a bit of a connection to him because he was one of the few people I've run across who was a fan of the RPG Suikoden. So, I told Pon to check through the report again before posting any questions that might have already been asked or answered. I then told him if he got really stuck, just private message me. It wasn't long before he started messaging me. At first, he would just ask me questions. Lots of questions. Fortunately, it seemed like a quick study. Didn't find myself having to repeat myself over and over. So I wouldn't say he was stupid, just green. Soon enough, he started asking me for game recommendations. And this led to us talking about what games we were playing. It was from there that we started having a correspondence over the next few months. We only really talked about games and movies, though. The only personal stuff I knew about him was that he was 16 and lived in London. One night we were having a conversation about Metroid games. I just clocked in Super Metroid for the millionth time and was thinking of dusting off the original, giving it a go. Hey, that reminds me. Have you ever heard of the Secret Worlds in Metroid 2? It was a pretty well-known glitch. Basically how it works is, if you're gonna falling down a really long shaft, it's in some places in the game, and press the select button really fast repeatedly, you make the wall tiles disappear. If you go through the tunnel that's created, you'll end up outside the map. You can then find rooms that are just tile swaps, regular rooms, rooms that scroll for forever, and rooms that look like they've just been randomly thrown together. Apart from using the sequence break, it's pretty pointless. It's more of a novelty than anything. In fact, some people started up a website devoted to the Secret Worlds. They're obsessed with mapping out the whole thing, like they were explorers braving uncharted territory or something. I tried it once on my Game Boy, but I got frustrated after I kept getting stuck in walls when I moved between rooms. Oh yeah, I remember the glitch. Why do you ask? I just found out about it while I got to work today. It's kind of fun. I didn't hear from Pon for a couple days after that. One night, he sent me a message. Hey, still messing around with the Metroid Secret World stuff? You're reading on how to use the Secret Worlds to escape barriers to the game. I'm getting the hang of it, but it's really trippy in here. It's hard to describe. I then taught Pon how to take snapshots and upload them so he could show me what he was finding. A few days later, I got a message. Hi, Pesmerja. God, you are not gonna believe this. The game just scared the crap out of me. I was messing around in the secret world, and all of a sudden I went to a room, the music changed, and started playing like I had to fight a Metroid. Next thing I know, this garbled mess flies at me. Absolutely freaked the hell out of me. Well, as you can see, I figured out how to take screenshots now. I'll let you know if I see anything else. Loving this hidden world stuff. On. Oh yeah! I forgot you could run into glitched out monsters in the secret world. Don't worry about it too much, man. Like the rooms, they're just all graphically messed up, but still behave the way they do in the game. After that, I didn't hear from him for a week. One night I was on the message board and I got the following message. Pesmerja, something weird is going on. I found a new area tonight. It's a room which is made up of bits and pieces of save points. I found a room like this before, but this one's different. None of the saves work, which is weird because usually they do in the secret world. And usually when you stand on the saves in the secret world, these weird symbols where they should say press R to save. But some of these saves are different. When I stand on them, random words appear. I'm uploading the photos now. Send links in a moment. Upon then sending the links, I looked over the images he had uploaded. I knew straight away that this wasn't a glitch. Look, man, I never heard anyone mention anything like what you're describing. To me, it sounds like that ROM image has been hacked. I asked him where he had got the ROM from, and he gave me the address. When I checked it out, the page wasn't there anymore. Which wasn't really surprising. Back then, ROM websites were frequently popping up and being taken down almost immediately. Is there any chance that it could damage my computer? I wouldn't think so. Never heard of a hacked ROM doing any malicious damage before. Just to be on the safe side, though, you should make sure you have the latest antivirus software and do a scan. Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep playing around with it then. I'll let you know if I find any more surprises. Catch you later. Just before I was about to go to bed, I looked at the pictures again. It occurred to me that the words might form a sentence. So I wrote the words down on a piece of paper and started trying out combinations. Eventually, I came up with this. How dare you stop stealing my legacy? I thought it was a rather strange sentence. Couldn't figure out why anyone would even bother hacking that message into the game. I didn't even understand what it meant. But a few days later, I got another message from Pawn. Hesmerja, check this out. I turned on Metroid 2 tonight, and after pressing the start button to load up my saved game, something happened. Usually it goes straight to where you last saved the game, but this time it just stayed on the title screen. The sound became really distorted and I thought it had frozen. I was just about to reset the game when this screen popped up. When the screen changed and this message popped up. This is then this really weird sound started playing. I don't know, it's really hard to describe. Is there any way to record sound out of an emulator? I want to try to capture it again. I captured it in case it happens so you can hear it. I wonder who did this hack. I keep thinking that there must be a reason. If they bothered to put this much effort, then there must be more stuff to find. I'm gonna keep exploring, see what else I find. I taught Pawn how to capture audio and gave him my email address. I told him to attach the file there if he didn't manage to record any sounds. Then I started thinking about what Pawn had described to me, and I gotta admit, I was pretty impressed by the hack. I also agree with Pawn's reasoning. If someone had bothered to put this much effort in, then it was likely that they'd done something more. It was just a matter of finding it. Though I was surprised I never heard of this hack before. I started browsing through the ROM hack sites trying to find the one that Pawn was playing. I didn't have any luck, so I asked around a few IRC channels, but no one had seen anything like I was describing. Then the following night, I was browsing the message board when I noticed I had a new private message. I saw it was from Pawn and opened it up. Esmerja, something extra freaky tonight in the secret world. I found myself in a room that looks like one of those rooms with statues and an item, except all the blocks were wrong. I walked into the room and the music that plays that you hear when you run into a Metroid, except there wasn't a Metroid in the room. I then left the room back the way I came and I was in a different spot to how it was before. It was a passageway that just scrolled on endlessly. But the music was wrong. It doesn't sound like anything in the game. I managed to capture the sound. I'm about to email you the file. Okay, I just downloaded the file. Hey, you wanna play some RE2 later? Sure, sounds like fun. Hang on a sec. Someone's knocking at my door. I'll be back in a moment. Cool. The audio file finished downloading, and I listened to it while waiting for Pond to come back. I did not know what to make of it. I've never heard a Game Boy make a sound like that before. At first, it just sounded like a foghorn to me, but then another sound started playing over the top of the foghorn noise. The other sound did seem familiar to me somehow, but I couldn't quite place it. I found myself getting spooked, so I closed the file. I got up, made myself a cup of coffee and a snack, and by the time I got back to my computer, 15 minutes had passed. Still there, man? I waited a few more minutes, but I didn't get a response. I got worried for a moment, but I figured either a friend or a family member had just come by and he was busy. I then surfed the net for a bit, did some admin duties, checked my messages, and hadn't still come back. I was pretty tired at that point, so I shut down my PC and went to bed. I got up early the next day and see if Pod had left me a message. He still hadn't gotten back to me. I headed off for school and didn't get home till the evening. After I grabbed a bite to eat, I sat down in front of the computer and checked my email and private messages. Still nothing from Pod. I left a few more messages and waited for his response. Over the next few days, he still didn't get to me, and I was really starting to freak out. I then skipped school for a few days and stuck pretty close to my computer. One afternoon, after performing some minor admin duties, I re-listened to the sound that Pond sent me. I still couldn't make out what it was, so I started playing around with it in a sound recorder. I then sped it up a few times and realized the foghorn sound might be the music that plays before you fight the Metroid Queen. As I continued to speed up the sound file, I realized what the other sound was. Someone was talking over the music. I had to speed up the sound up over 10 times just to get it to sound like it was playing at the right speed. Once I'd done that, I tried to make out what the voice was even saying. I did have to listen carefully a few times before I got it, though.
I am moving very quick.
The first part was an introduction. Someone was saying, I am, and after that was presumably their name. I couldn't catch what it was, though. It was an English name. The second part, however, was clear enough. Knock, knock. I am here. Needless to say, I was quite unnerved at that point. I hit the internet again, trying to find out anything I could about the version of Metroid 2 that Pawn had been playing. I emailed the people at the Secret Worlds website, posted messages on numerous emulation websites, and spoke to various people on IRC channels. Most people thought I was joking, the rest thought I was crazy. It seems no one knew what the hell I was talking about. Then one night, I got a private message. Look up Gunpei Yokoi. I was a bit startled. When I'd been going around asking questions about Metroid 2, I had been using Pestimergia as my username, nor had I mentioned what message board I was from. I replied back to the message wanting to know who was messaging me and how they found me. But the user never got back to me. After that night, I kept an eye on the logs of user activity to see if he came back to the site, but never did. I then decided to take the message advice and look up the name Gunpei Yokoi. Didn't take long to find out who he was. Turns out he was hugely influential at Nintendo. Some of the games he worked on include the original Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Kid Icarus, Metroid, and Metroid 2. But what he's best known for is arguably his greatest creation, the Game Boy. It's often described as his legacy. I kept reading the article in fascination when I got to a section that was about his life after leaving Nintendo. Not long after he left Nintendo and started his own company, Gunpei Yokoi died in a car accident. I glanced at the date of his death and it gave me a shock. It was October the 4th, 1997. October 4th was the day I got my last message from Pawn. I then listened to the sped up audio Pawn had sent me, and that's when it clicked. The first part of the message was, I am Gunpei Yokoi. It was after this realization I went through a period in which went on for a year, in which I refused to answer the door unless a person identified themselves. Then over the next few months, I scoured the internet for any news stories concerning a missing teenager in London. There were several stories that would pop up, but the details were so vague none of them, or any one of them, could have been Pawn. There was one story that did catch my attention, though, about a missing teenager who had been last seen at home. His mother left for work and she said that he had been on the computer in the lounge room. When she returned several hours later, the lounge room was empty, the computer and various other electrical appliances were still turned on. At first, she thought that he might be in another part of the house, but she checked and she found it was empty. She tried to call his phone, and that's when she discovered that his phone and wallet were by the computer. It was at this point that she called the police. They investigated and found no sign of disturbance in the house, and nothing was missing. Well, except for the teenager. He had vanished without a trace. I looked for more information online, but couldn't find anything else. I contemplated getting in touch with the police in London, but one thing stopped me. There was no way I could think to word my story without sounding like some crazy person. Even if I could figure out how to word it properly, and if this missing teen did happen to be Pawn, there was no way that I could give them. There's no way that I could give them that they wouldn't get off the computer anyways. And if it wasn't Pawn, then maybe it'd just be wasting their time and end up in some sort of legal trouble. The words hindering a police investigation popped into my mind. I went back through my conversations with Pawn to see if there were any clues to his real identity that I hadn't noticed before. But there was nothing that didn't reveal what I didn't know about him already. It was then I realized I always assumed that he was a he in the first place. But that there had been nothing in our conversation to dismiss the possibility that Pawn had been a female. The possibility of Pawn being a female instantly made this task twice as hard. In the end, I just had to give up. I didn't know what else I could do. I took all my conversations with Pawn, copied them on, and copied the pics and audio files he had emailed me, and burned them onto a CD just in case I ever needed them again. Not long after that, I finished high school and started working. Within a month, I stopped being an admin. I still stuck around the board for a few months, but by then I didn't have much time to post without any regularity. But over the following years, I got busy with life, and everything that happened with Pawn drifted further and further from my mind. I decided to write all this down and put it online in the hopes after all these years someone might know something about what happened to Pawn or the version of Metroid 2 he found. As I said in the beginning, I don't know what to make of this. Is there a copy of Metroid 2 floating around the internet that's haunted by the ghost of Gunpei Yokoi? If you have the misfortune to stumble across it, does he come by your door angry that you dare to defile his legacy? I try not to think about it too much. When it does cross my mind, I like to imagine that the whole thing was just some elaborate hoax perpetuated by Pawn, that he set the whole thing up months in advance. He created the images and the audio files. He came on the message board pretending to be a technically inept teenager when he was really brilliant with a PC. He was username 12345. He was the one who told me to look up Gunpei Yokoi. I like to imagine that he's somewhere out there, still laughing at this wonderful joke he pulled off all those years ago. Sometimes I almost convince myself that it was just a hoax. I like to think that's how I was able to even get some sleep in the months after I lost contact with Pawn. And I think that telling myself that it was all a hoax now is gonna come real handy on those restless nights in the days to come. And that was Metroid 2 Secret Worlds. It's a pretty interesting creepypasta, not gonna lie. It's like your usual gaming creepypasta. What else can you say about it, really? But I do like the all the little bits and pieces that really enhance the story here and there, and the fact that it could be a hoax. Pretty interesting. To be fair, though, it did kind of lose me a little bit when it's like, I am the ghost of Gunpei Yokoi, and you dare emulate my Game Boy, you die. That's kind of silly, but whatever. I'll let it slide. But yeah, if you got any more creepypastas or like any other stuff you'd like to see me do, just throw it on down, and I'll give it a look, and we'll see if it happens. Anyways, this has been me, Keith Blanco, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Punk ass loser!